Okay, good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 and Dakota Nation's territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Neil Harden. I am chairing today's panel. With me is Brent McIntyre to my left and Harvey Diamond to my far left. The recording secretary today is Michelle Meepen, and the assessor is Jonathan Spacek. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. We advise that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that we mail to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the applications of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed and recorded and will be part of the public record. So the only item remaining on today's agenda is 287 Taché Avenue. So Michelle, can you do the swearing in?
I sure can. Mr. Assessor, can you state your full name, please?
My name is Jonathan Spacek.
And do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you. And the applicant, can you state your full name, please?
Rocky Neufeld.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Spacek, you may begin with your presentation.
All right, thanks everyone. Today we're looking at 287 Taché Avenue. This is roll number 0609087400, and we're looking at the 2022 roll year. It has the assessed value of $911,000. You can see 287 Taché on my page 2 where it's located. It is between Horace Street and Marion Street. It is originally a post office converted into office use space. It has a basement, main floor, and a second floor. It was built in 1935 and it has an effective year of 1950. In the past, it has been converted from post office to office. If you turn to my page number 4, you can see they've complied with our request for information in 16 and 17. There is a sale on March 12th, 2013 for $511,000. Excuse me. If you turn to my page 5, we have the income workup for this property. We have it split up into 5 separate premises, but it totals 3,486 feet. You can see the first premise is 1,659 square feet at $16.01. This is a model created rate. That square footage is for the first floor of office space. And then we have our second premise, which is C6 storage office. slash mezzanine space, but the 1,034 square feet includes the basement and some storage space. It is at $10.82 a square foot. And then our last three premises that range from 282 square feet to 387 square feet and 124 square feet. The rents range from $17.17 to $18.87. These three small units are three separate offices on the second floor. The premises are split up this way as they were split up this way when the last tenant was in there. I'm not sure with the new tenant how it is split up currently, but that's why it is all split up separately like that. It did have the second floor spaces leased out separately, but the total 3,486 square feet has a blended rate of $14.83 across the whole building is one way to look at it. We have our standard OFS parameters of 5.5% vacancy loss, 2% expenses, $7 shortfall, and a 6.2% capitalization rate on this property, and that's how you get the total of $911,000. And if you turn to page 6, you can see there's some comparables on there. My first box of comparables is just some main floor and second floor rent comparables in the Provencher, Taché, St. Boniface area. My first three comparables are at 131 Provencher Boulevard. You can see these are first and third floor rents. They all have a start date in early 2017, and the square footages range from 1,200 to 2,300 square feet, and the rents in that property, three of them range from $14 to $17. You can see 188 Marion, which is a 10,900 square foot OFS right on Marion. It's a single story. Lease started in 2017 for $14 a square foot. We have 20 St. Mary's Road, which is a two-story office building on right on the corner of Main, it's right on Main, St. Mary's over the bridge once you get into St. Boniface, but it is 2 stories and a lease in there is 2,438 square feet for $16 a square foot. And finally, 222 Provencher Boulevard is my last comparable. It is a 2-story, it is larger at 14,000 square feet, but it has a $13 a square foot rent on it. So the range there is approximately $13 to $17 a square foot, and our subject property is at a blended rate of $14.83. I have included just some basement comparables. It's kind of a master sheet I've used the whole last cycle, but we have 1483 Pembina, 226 Osborne, and 1479 Buffalo Place. These are basement spaces that are all leased from a range of $660 up to $1,175. If you turn to page 8, it's our standard matrix chart for capitalization rates. You can see Suburban A and Suburban B OFS, which is 4 columns down on the chart. All of our City of Winnipeg cap rates for the 2020 and in this case the 2022 cycle range from 5.5 to 9.05. And if you take out the outliers, the majority of them lie between 6.2% and 7.3%. Our subject property is on the low end of this at 6.2%. I have included the 2017 income and expense mailer. It was, again, fully leased out. They were gross leases in place. And if you turn to page 13, you can just see I've just included the floor plans, the most recent ones we have from an inspection done in, it was right at the end of January in 2018. But you can see how the space was split up for this property. It's first is the second floor, then the basement, and then the first floor if you're looking how the premises are split up for this property. And I've included, like always, page 16 going forward is the 2020 addenda information. Just has some extra information on capitalization rate and non-recovering expense sampling. If you have any questions on that, let me know. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Newfield, do you have any questions?
Yes. Sorry, one calculation to quickly do here. Okay. I noticed in your report that you've got 3 different areas, rentable areas, throughout the report. On actually now it looks like 4. On page 1, you've got 3,486 square feet. On page 5, again, 3486, but then there's a 4520 right below that. And it appears you calculated your value on 4520. And then in the plans you submitted, it adds up to 3479. And you admitted that it probably has been reconfigured. So we're dealing with 4 areas. I'm wondering if you've reconciled any of these.
Yeah, no, I didn't. You know what? I didn't see on my page 5. This is the first I'm noticing. I know the 3486 that it's showing is from the updated, when it was most recently updated with the most recent floor plans, and then it looks like it's going to 4520. So I didn't catch that. You can see that potential rents changed from, we're at 51,706
Right.
for that 3,000. So it would need to be recalculated, and I am presenting based on that 3486. That is even with the floor plans, the proper square footage. So it looks like it's using the original. It was being calculated from close to the original gross, if that makes sense. But I didn't catch that.
So an adjustment would be in order? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I would just have to recalculate, make a spreadsheet quick, and I'll recalculate it based on the 3486 with that 51,706 potential rent. That's what I was, what I believed I was defending.
Yeah, okay. I was just doing a quick look at this, and did you want to do that now?
Yeah, if you just could we just have like a 5-10 minute break? I'll just come back with proper.
It's just us.
Proper value.
Yeah, I think that the board would like to see that valuation. So
yeah, I'll just print it. I'll work it out quick and send it in.
We'll take. How much time do you need? 5 minutes?
Just give me 5 minutes, 5 to 10. Yeah, I'll be back as soon as I'm done.
We'll take a break and we'll come back at 20 after. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will come back to order. Mr. Spacek, can you please lead us through your new evaluation then?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your patience here. If you just load it up, I'm just following through with the same income that is presented on my. Let me just open everything up again. On my page 5, and then I'm using that same income value, the parameters for this type of property, and it's coming to a reduced value of 751. So really, I'm making a recommendation to reduce the value to 751 today.
Okay, so Mr. Neufeld, Dan, how do you feel about that recommendation?
Well, I'm happy that he fixed that part of it. We still want to cover 2 more points, and we won't be long.
Okay, fine. I believe we're in your questioning, so you can resume your questioning then.
Okay, so I'm just gonna not bother with the rent or the vacancy. My next question has to do with the lack of non-recoverable costs. Now, we all know that the city this cycle has determined that they don't exist anymore. My question is, given the history of this property, would you not expect a fairly high degree of non-recoverable costs, specifically related to HVAC repair and insurance?
I only know from what they report. I can't say exactly what they did, but if I look at this income year, I don't see any. I see a boiler upgrade for $1,288. We did keep 2% for non-recoverable expenses. We just removed 5%. So we didn't remove it all, but we're still allowing 2% non-recoverable expenses every year for property owners.
Right. But the act, of course, states that you're to deal with the property and the physical condition as of the year of appeal and market information as of the reference date. Now, for the year under appeal, the history of this property indicated some major physical problems with the building. So what do you do in cases like that where you have let's call it a sick building, and these costs can't be passed on to tenants? They're the owner's problem. Does the city have any ability to deal with that?
Well, again, like if a building was sick, as you say, usually a higher cap rate or even a lower rent can help represent some of those issues. This property, when it sold in 2013, it was like we did a sales verification on it, and it was actually considered a building in great condition. It sold for $496 at the end of the day. The actual sales agent said there's numerous offers on the building. It had no issue selling, and then they only put in $50,000 after that 2013 sale, just for some internal partitions. And I believe in your brief you've included pictures. It doesn't look like a horrible building. I know there was an incident with the chimney and carbon monoxide. I'm sure you'll go over in your in your portion of it, but again, I didn't see anything stick out that this was a sick or a building in horrible condition, other than the one accident that happened.
Well, okay, but the person who said it was in good condition is no longer with us, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just going over just my experience of going over that 2013 sale, and the information we have is that it's not a sickly building or in horrible condition that needs a ton of renovations. The person that bought it in 2013 only put in $50,000 of interior alterations.
And you'd stated earlier, the manner the city may deal with it is either through rent or cap. Now, are the rates you've applied, are they table rates?
For this property?
Yeah. The rent and the cap?
Yeah, they're all model driven.
Okay, so nothing was changed. Okay, and last, to do with the cap rate, I know that one of the issues has to be the year on this. Now, you've got an actual year of 1935 and an effective of 1950. Yeah. Would your rate be different if you use 1935 instead of 1950?
I'm sure it would be a higher. I'm sure it'd be. I don't know by how much. The cap would be slightly higher, I imagine, based on the older age.
Okay, and you are aware that it's on the target list for historical preservation, which means that you can't really upgrade portions of it to change the effective age. You've got to keep it the way it is, and I'm wondering if that was taken into consideration on a cap rate.
Yeah, like a building like this, you can look at the pictures and see the historical kind of brick look of the post office. They would definitely have to keep that intact. And like, I'm not sure the exact, kind of seems like for that historical designation, I don't know how much it would affect it. I don't have like a numerical value for you.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, Mr. Diamond, any questions?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Brent?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay, the question I got is cap rate being at the low end. Why is it at the low end for such an older building?
From my understanding, based on the condition of the actual inside, it is a nicer. It has a completely fine interior. It would, even if I believe when you look at the pictures, it's 1950. It doesn't look like a 1950s build inside. So it's drawing a lower cap rate from having that kind of better condition than you would think from a 1950. Is my belief.
Okay, all right, then I have no other questions, so Mr. Neufeld, you can proceed with your presentation.
Thanks, I did send some revised numbers in, and after the assessor made his change, I don't think we need to deal with them. I just wanted to point out what the income actually was in the reference here. We're comfortable with the rate that he's applied. So the only two issues I think are on the table now are the non-recoverable rate. Our position is clear and in the documentation. The building had a problem, a tragic problem on HVAC failure. And it will be an expensive building to maintain and deal with more safeguards, as well that historic designation, where it also is legally bound to not change things and not modernize them. So I think that puts pressure on both the non-recoverable rates. Coincidentally, right now, I'm doing several jobs involving historical buildings and insurance. And there's a growing problem in this industry where do you insure to replace it or to reproduce it? And the buildings I'm working on, all being historically designated, there are so many players in the game. There's the historical heritage in property and planning. There's the insurance company. There's the owners. And it generally degenerates into a war between engineers and experts on costs as to what should be done with it. Ultimately, an older building is more expensive to reproduce, and so they generally have a lower threshold for demolition, but then there's resistance on all sides. I hope I don't bore you with this story, but this is really interesting. Currently, the insurance companies are pushing for reproduction costs because of what's called co-insurance. So if you have a partial loss, they're saying if you don't insure up to the reproduction cost and you have a partial loss, you get a prorated settlement. And they're going to fairly large extremes on this issue. What happens is it drives up the insurance costs, and those are almost always non-recoverables. The information I had was too late to submit for evidence because it was coincidentally two jobs that popped up in the last week on historically designated buildings on their insurance side, not assessment problems. This is my regular job, my day job. As to the cap, well, the building was frozen in 1935, and the major elements for upgrading, the assessment thinks you can change the effective date. Well, the major elements are the frame, the foundation, the mechanical, and the envelope. 3 of those 4 can't be changed. And the mechanical was changed, and the story is in our presentation. The outcome was not very good. I knew the former owner of the building. I worked with him a fair amount, and it was a very, very sad event. But we're not looking for pity here. We're simply saying that the whole concept of trying to value a building on this basis isn't quite right. The purchaser, incidentally, on post-reference sale was not an arm's length transaction, and I'm just telling the assessor for his benefit. He knows what the number is, but I know you don't care about it. So what we're suggesting is a higher cap rate. We were looking at 9%, which was comparable to what most of the historical designations are, I was just looking at the assessor's numbers without dealing with the non-recoverables. 46542 divided by 9 is 517,133. 517,133 rounded to 517,000. That does put it in line with the former sale, and given the actual age of the building, the historical designation, and the long-term risk on the mechanical side, I think that's a fair number. Thank you very much.
Okay, questions, Mr. Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick. Your new number, sorry, you said it was
517.
517. And when you said that's in line with the original or the prior sale, 2013. So with the issues, you believe this property has appreciated in value $6,000. That's correct?
Well, right. And the former sale was based on an assumption that proved to be incorrect over time, in that it didn't have problems. So that's why that's a fair number.
Thank you. And you've included pictures, page 11, going forward, correct? When
Yeah.
you stated that your cap rate's based on other historical properties, similar, let's say, conditions or of that, would you say the condition of this property, based on just the pictures going forward of the office space, that's comparable to most other historical properties that you're comparing to?
Well, it depends.
Or they have similar quality?
It depends what's being protected generally, and what the problems are with it and what the use is. The pictures showing an interior space are really not part of the major elements. The interior space gets altered with every time there's a new tenant in. It's not a long-lived item, and what we should be focusing on are the areas that can't be taken a picture of: the frame and the foundation, the envelope, the inside of the envelope, the roof, how is it made, and what's its prospect for life. The interior pictures are, well, they're all subject to replacement every 10 years anyway. Glancing at them, you can actually see some problems. They're a little more subtle. Not problems, but the historical nature. Page 13 and 14, for example, show a wooden banister. This is not in keeping with code. So this is when a building's designated historical, they are allowed to have a waiver from code and keep the original element, which is a flammable fire exit area. And in modern code, it's not allowed at all. Now, where this gives a problem is if you are renting to a company that's ISO 9001 certified, they will not allow they will not rent this because they have to be up to code. So we run into this on some other historical buildings. That's just one item I can show to you in the pictures. On page 18, the hallway setup is rather narrow. That's a minor issue. You can see on page 21 they did put in a barrier-free access, so that was a good upgrade. Because we do have all day here, and I could bore you to death with all the historical limitations of a property. But that, in a nutshell, it's restricted usage on basically just local tenants who pay less rent. Mind you, this building would never have appealed to a national tenant anyway. But the difference is that you should be using a local cap rate, not an investment cap rate on this. So we see an upward on the cap. Now, we had penciled in 9%, and that's only because that's been, most of the ones have been changed to high 8s, low 9s that we've brought in. The difference would be multifamilies aren't as affected as much by the historical cap because it's a different usage and different code issues.
Okay, any other questions, Mr.?
That's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
So, Mr. Neufeld, you're using a 9% cap rate, and which of your comparisons justify that?
Well, first of all, I would start with page 49 and 50, where we kind of break down the difference in cap rate by property type. And on top of page 49, as an office, that in the middle of it, suburban office, this would be miscellaneous. So they're generally capped between 1 to 4 point higher, and the 4 points would be, say, historical, and the 1 point would be a good property. The same goes with retail on page 50, where we're looking at miscellaneous retail, middle of the page, 1 to 3 points higher. So those are the general statements. As far as the comparables are concerned, on page 57, I just glanced at this one right away. 243 Lilac. This is a 1928 construction building that capped at 9.47%, which was but it was also a restaurant, but it was a big downward push on that due to age. Nice place to eat. I was just in there a few weeks ago. There are so few that get traded. Sorry, that was the only one I could pick up. Generally, they trade on the basis of rate per square foot owner user buildings, very rarely as investment properties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do you know what aspects of this building are designated historic? Is it the facade, or is it the entire building, or what?
That
A lot of instances.
I didn't get the write up on that. I'm gonna speculate here that it was the envelope was a major feature, and the wooden stairwells. Just based on what I've seen, I didn't get the full report from historical because it's actually not on the specific list right now, but it's on the don't try to do anything to it list. So the minute somebody came in and wanted to demolish it, then it gets bumped up. It's on the warning list. There's a number of old post offices. 187 Henderson was another one. They are protected. I don't know. I'm just guessing. It's the brick and the wood inside.
Okay, thank you. Then I have no other questions. Mrs. Spacek, is there any summary you wish to do? Yeah, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Covered well. No need for major summation. I would just like to finish by saying, again, that 2013 sale, if you believe it's appreciated $7,000 or $6,000 since then, that's your decision. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld, any summary?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank the assessor for making the correction. That was appreciated. And I think the board should be looking at the cap rate on this. 6.2% on a 1935 building isn't appropriate. It does not appeal to investors. It must produce better returns in order for it to have interest as on the income approach. As far as the appreciation concept goes, well, bear in mind that a problem was discovered after the sale, a serious problem. So that's going to put a damper on anybody's concept of appreciation and value. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes all the items on today's agenda. So this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.